Bhandari from Condo in Toronto. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just wanted to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're here today.
Firstly, thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. Well, like you said, my name is Amit Bhandari. I'm a real estate sales representative, pending real estate broker, I have to add, with and co-founder of Sage Talk Condo Limited Brokerage. We're a independently owned and operated brokerage out here in Toronto. And we're actually the very first Sage real estate franchise as well. So we founded that in the summer of 2017. And I guess the reason why I'm on here is um, because I love to share knowledge, right? It's if there's even one teeny tiny thing that can help someone achieve, huge success, that it's awesome, and plus, it's lots of good karma.
That's awesome. And we really appreciate your help for sure. I'm sure we're going to get into some amazing things from you today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Let's see.
Want to go back a little bit about your path and your past and how it is that you got here or to where you are today and some
Mhm.
lessons or challenges that you kind of faced along the way.
Oh wow! Well, I could write a novel, but I'll try and
Good.
condense it as much as I can. Um, well, me and my brother actually started real estate back in 2007. He had gotten his license, I believe, between third and fourth year of university, and
Okay.
I was on the other hand, I was working full time. I was working for IBM. I have an IT management degree, but business is something that me and my brother were so huge company would be mega rich. So it was just something we always wanted to do, and real estate was just something uh, that my dad actually wanted to get into in terms of a license in Canada, but he'd always done it in England. And
Okay.
then he had a small portfolio there, and then when we moved to Canada, he did something similar here too. But he struggled getting the license. So my brother said to him, "Look, Dad, I'll get the license and you can just work through me." Long story short, my dad and my brother pushed me to get the license. Um, and
Nice. Nice
to be
family.
honest, I know. And honestly, quite frankly, I wasn't too happy working the 9 to 5. It was not something that I particularly enjoyed doing. And just the idea of starting something new was incredibly enticing, right? It was exciting. Plus, the other thing, it just seemed like the logical step because my dad had done it in England and he's, done had done it back then in a small capacity. And it
Right.
just seemed like a logical thing to do. Um, the other stuff is, well, like I said, we started in '07 and we had absolutely no idea what we were doing at the very beginning. I don't think
Most of us
anybody really does.
don't. No.
Yeah. But I do remember we did have a semi-decent year, but it wasn't really with any sort of plan or process or thought or anything like that. We just went into it thinking that, oh, hey, we'll do some deals, make some money, and that's it. And and I think that's probably the single biggest misconception, right? It's also at the same time something we see time and time again where you have new realtors and that they don't have any plans or processes in place. We lucked out because in 2009, 2 years later, we joined another brokerage, and the broker of record changed our mindset. He made us think like a businessman, and this I think was a huge lesson. Like you asked, like what are the lessons learned? I think that was the
Right.
single biggest lesson learned, that this is a business, that you need to have certain things in place and you need to be consistent in doing them.
That is amazing. And that's, I truly believe that is a misconception. As a realtor, you get into it sometimes thinking, hey, I can make my own hours, do what I want whenever I
Yeah,
want, not thinking about it as a business that you can build within the brokerage yourselves. And then even going on to having your own brokerage at some point if that's your goal, which
absolutely.
obviously that's where you guys went with it. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. Yeah.
Very good. So we talked a little bit about how you are the co-founder of Sage Talk Condo. So can you tell us what that structure looks like for you and your brother?
In terms of the brokerage, yeah, it's super lean. From the get-go, it was just me and my brother for many years. And then my wife got her license, and then my brother's wife joined in a creative sort of capacity with our videos. And then soon after opening our brokerage in the summer of 2017, we hired on one additional salesperson. So everything since 2007 has just been me and my brother. We were doing literally everything, running around, the creative content, the meeting the clients, the meeting the developers, creating videos. So yeah, it was only recently. Sorry?
No admin help at all either, just you?
No.
Wow.
Just everything.
That's brave. How many hours were you spending doing that then?
Oh, we're still spending a lot of hours. I always joke, each white hair I have is like an MBA. No, it's a lot of hours. We're in the mindset of we're building a business. Like I said, that's how we go into every single day. We are building a business, and every single year we have to beat the previous year. So
right.
it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of dedication, it's a lot of
constant growth, right? And that's what life is all about. You don't want to stop and be good with down here when you can strive for more. So that's
absolutely
amazing. Awesome. So in finding you talked about how you had a mind shift change. Tell us about getting into the niche market of condos and how you kind of got there.
Well, I mean, it wasn't something that happened straight away, actually. I don't know if you remember back then, 2007 was, okay. 2008 was a disaster. Yeah. I think for the entire industry, 2009 was again another struggle for a lot of individuals, I'm sure. But what happened was we had changed brokerage, the mindset change happened, and we started putting these things in place. And then purely accidentally, it was soon after a listing fell into our lap. And maybe it was just us refocusing ourselves and the universe rewarding us or something. I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure. Either way, it was a brand new, never lived in condo in downtown Toronto. And the Toronto market was a very big unknown for us, because prior to that, everything that we had done was all Mississauga, because we were based in Mississauga before that. Okay. So it was, it was a rental here. Yeah. Rental here, or a townhouse there kind of thing. But then when we got this listing, we started digging, more and more. When did you buy it? What did you buy it for? And then this whole new world opened up for us, and it was like an aha moment. Interesting, right? They never lived in condo, and they bought it, 3-4 years ago, and now they want to flip it, which was the thing back then in 08, 09, 10 kind of thing. And me and my brother are very analytical. And so this sort of profit ROI versus, I hope I'm not, offending anybody, but this versus hardwood floors and chandeliers, the fluffy resale stuff, it did not appeal to us. That did not appeal to us. And so the numbers stuff really sort of, it was a nice thing. It was like a thing where it sort of made everything worth it again. Right. And so we just phased out our resale and put everything into pre-construction. We felt that this was an area that we could really, really get behind. We could, we could create a passion out of it, and we have. And after that, we just, I hate saying it, but we eat, sleep, and breathe pre-construction condos. I mean, we called developers. We tried to find out from others who had perhaps done 1 or 2 deals. We just did anything and everything we could. Visit sales centers, gather packages, analyze the numbers versus resale numbers, and then we'd blog about it. And then soon the web traffic came, and then we had sign up after sign up. And then we decided to stop blogging altogether on the crappy resale website and create a fresh new website that was just purely dedicated to pre-construction. We called it Talk Condo, and the rest is in the name. Yeah.
And what I find very inspiring in that is you could have just left the business because you weren't interested in the chandeliers, the pretty stuff of it, right? There's personality types that works for, and you guys are able to find a spot for yourselves as the analytical type. I think that is amazing. because like I said, a lot of people would have dropped out and been like, this isn't for me. So
Yeah, no, I know. And you know, the other sad part is, for me, is, and it's not just in our industry, you see it across various industries where business is not easy, right? It's really not. And this is a business that's, you know, fundamentally what it is. And it's such a shame that a lot of new agents are not able to find their niche
right.
as quick as, you know, other individuals.
Right.
But, yeah.
And by that time, like you said, they might be out, and really they could have had a successful career if they were guided in a way that they could find that for themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing that you guys were able to find that, and obviously it's a good thing for all of your clients that you are, because you're providing some great value, it seems. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank
Good.
you.
And so we're talking a little bit about the struggles. Can you share a time when you struggled in the business that it was like, okay, well, this is make or break, right? We might be out.
It was 2009. I can never remember. I can never forget that year, because it was a horrible year. It really was. I think it probably was for a lot of folks in the industry, like I said, because of the collapse of the U.S. economy and whatnot.
Right.
But that was a time when me and my brother were ready to throw the towel in the ring. I'm not ashamed to even share this. We had just made 30,000 of gross commissions between us that year.
That's tough.
Yeah, and I actually gave an interview for a job in Toronto and was offered the job at the company. But me and my brother talked about it, and we decided to, you know, let's not give this up so quickly. Let's give it another shot. Now, this was also at the same time when another brokerage, a small brand brokerage, contacted us. It wasn't a well-known brand or anything like that, but we decided to leave the big name brand and try a look at the small brand brokerage, where the broker of record was actually super hands-on. And what we found was there was an instant connection. You wanted to be there, show up every day and learn and share and learn some more and share some more. This was also the very same brokerage and broker of record who taught us about, you know, the mindset shift I talked about earlier.
Right. Building
a business. Yeah, exactly. Think about your target audience. How do you want to reach them? Create and develop that plan. Write it out. Amend as needed. Create a business plan. So that, you know, it just everything happened at the right time for us.
And that's history.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I'm never ashamed to share, because you see those images shared on social media where I don't know if you've ever seen it, where it has 3 people on a pedestal: gold medal winner, silver medal winner, and it shows the crowd cheering on one side, but then on the back side it shows all the struggles that they've been through.
Right.
So
you got to go through them to
yeah, you really do.
Through it, right? Life's not easy, and it's the people who can push forward from that can be successful, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. Awesome. So let's go a bit back towards the condo conversation about how you were able to, obviously you have client relationships, but how were you able to build the relationships with the developers, which for me, speaking from my own personal experience, would be rather intimidating. It's not my area of expertise. And also making sure that your relationships stay good with your colleagues, the other agents that you're working with in the industry.
Ooh, okay.
Lots for you.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, over the year, well, see, because we've been doing this for so long now. I mean, we got going in this space tail end of 2009, so it's 10 years now. And so those relationships build and, you know, develop and build over time. But I tell you, the big thing in our space is you have to continually perform.
Right.
Not only do we have our own internal numbers we want to hit, and by the way, it has to be better than that shit, like I said, but we also have a certain number that we want to hit for developers, and they in turn expect us to hit certain numbers.
Right.
At the beginning, it was just a matter of us pestering them. At the very beginning, literally, it was bugging them, visiting the sales centers, gathering the data. And that's something that we're really big on, gathering a lot of data and analyzing the data and sharing that information with our clients in the hopes that it makes sense for them. And then in turn, it, you know, translates into a deal And then that, it keeps going on and on and on. And then on their side, it's okay, you know what, these guys are performing for us. And then, down the line, we need to sort of, I guess, almost reward them with, being able to get their clients in at,
Right.
at a better stage of the sales cycle. And then you was also asking about colleagues in the industry. This space is really different, I find. I haven't done it in such a long time. The resale side, I haven't done it in such a long time.
Right.
9 years now.
Wow.
But I do remember it being a bit more cutthroat. A lot of people with, cards close to the chest, unwilling to share. It was different in the small brokerage.
Right.
The environment was a lot of sharing and caring, that kind of thing. But I felt overall that it was a lot more cutthroat. Whereas I found over the years that a lot of the agents that work in our space, they're actually very good friends, and we love to share.
Yeah.
It's look, this is what we're doing. We're practically an open book to each other. Oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? We use a program called Infusionsoft. We share ideas related to Infusionsoft. It's very different. I don't really know the reason why that is. But it's very different. It's very unique.
That's amazing. It's being able to share with your colleagues who are also out there doing the things that you're doing. Why not learn from each other instead of trying to reinvent the wheel every time you're trying to break through another system or procedure or whatever the case may be, right? So that's very nice to hear. Our brokerage is very much like that, and we share, and we're of a culture that, someone's struggling and you help them, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So I'm glad you guys are going through that as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. So what would be the biggest challenge to break through with the developers? You'd mentioned that you'd pester them, and you were, as Brian and I call it, consistent persistence. We like
nice.
that term.
Like that.
It's a nice term. Like so what was your biggest breakthrough there?
I think all of it was a challenge. I think the breakthrough was, I don't think it was really a breakthrough on the developer end. It was really all down to us, really. Like, what are we going to do with the information we have?
Right.
How are we presenting that information to the relevant audience, right? The investor client, right? We have this project, okay, but it's, a lot of the times they mostly dealt with, walk-ins, people coming themselves to a sales office or a sales center. But it's a matter of how are you presenting or pitching that investment potential to them to bring them into the sales center, which, otherwise they wouldn't themselves. Right. So that was a challenge. The other challenge, I guess, starting out was, on the client side, work with us, not them, as in competition. So that was a challenge too. It was, and back then there was a handful of top realtors and who had huge businesses, a massive number of deals. I'm talking huge volume, but flew super under the radar. And they had established a good, strong foothold in the space with the investing public, with the developers.
Right.
And then the other challenges were things like information gathering, who to speak to, and then eventually doing the numbers, convincing the clients, like I said, that this is the investment to make. That was tough initially because we were new. Right. We were fairly new to the industry as well. We were only 2 years in, but absolute babies in the space, and it's its own world completely.
Right. Did you, in that process, did you or your brother, I mean, you can't speak for your brother perhaps, but think to yourself, what have we gotten ourselves into? We can't do this. We can't go up against these mega producers. Or was it just, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it well?
I think in the beginning, I have to say we perhaps were a little, apprehensive or intimidated. But then I think I think what changed was we just got our heads down and just worked. And we didn't care what was happening around us. I think it was all about that mindset change that I
Right.
spoke about earlier. It's okay, fair enough. A part of business, you have to know your challenges, your environment, you know, the landscape, right? You have to know the landscape. But I think really it was just like, you know, this is what we need to do. And as soon as we started seeing, you know, signups happening and emails coming in asking us very specific questions related to investing, that was when it was like, yeah, you know, it looks like we're doing the right thing. We're just going to get our heads down and just
Right.
pump out content.
We've got this.
Yeah, that was really it.
Good. And so you had mentioned that you came from the tech world. That was
Yeah.
your previous career path.
Previous life.
Yes. What skills, transferable skills, have you brought from that has really given you an edge in what you've been working on?
So I'd say, I don't think really I brought any skills from my 9 to 5. I used to work for IBM,
Right.
and it was you know, it's a typical corporate environment.
Right.
I think I actually gained a lot more transferable skills from my degree, to be honest. I have a degree in IT management, and what it is essentially is learning how to apply technology in a business setting, essentially what it is. And I tell you, from the very, very beginning, I really wanted to apply as much of my degree as possible into my work. But then I realized fairly quickly that applying, you know, even small aspects of the degree was not possible in a 9 to 5 job, unless I you know, waited a very, very long time. So and then I realized as well that the way to really truly apply, especially the favorite parts of my degree, was to get into business for myself, and
where you can control what you're doing, right?
Exactly, you have the freedom to do as you please, to a certain extent, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Things like my marketing minor, I don't know how I would have been able to apply that, for instance, but I get to do it all the time. Things like the business process mapping and engineering courses I took. Those were perhaps my favorite courses, but that's how my mind works. I sort of try to map things out from a macro level,
Right.
and then try to pinpoint things, you know, where are the deficiencies? How can I improve this? How can I improve that? And I, you know, again, like I couldn't see myself being able to apply things like that in 9 to 5. There was no way.
No, and you've got to follow what it is that the job is, what's required of you there, and
Exactly.
making all the calls on what needs to be done, right? So you're in that, I wouldn't say pigeonhole, but you're in that role, and typically in a corporate, you just stay in that role until you move on.
Yeah, it's pigeonhole. You're right.
Sounds good. So a little bit shifting back to, again, the day-to-day, or I guess where you started, why did you choose to go with pre-construction versus resale? What was the big driving force there?
The numbers.
Analytical,
right? It's again, I don't want to insult anyone. It's you know, every business is different and every person is different. The emotional side, the fluffy side of resale, just did not appeal to us one bit. Like I said, it was that and a mix of other things, and the economy and this and that. We were ready to throw the towel in. Actually, you know, at one point, it was 2009 as well. It was also when I think it was 2009 where I did the commercial course too.
Oh, wow.
So there was you know, an inkling of maybe we should try that, and and we did interview a commercial brokerage as well at the same time. So there was a lot of things going on, and it's just it's quite the journey we've had, and what ended up happening, because I don't know, had we made one decision or that, I have no idea if we would even be talking today.
Right. Had you not met that broker, that changed your mindset. And
exactly. Yeah.
Good. So, I mean, commercial would, it seems like that would appeal to you as well in terms of the numbers and this is how it is, no fluff, no emotion usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. Had you, after your interview, did you really consider commercial?
We did actually almost join.
Yeah.
And then we got the call from this other brokerage, and then me and my brother had another discussion, and we said, you know what, I mean, if we were to do commercial, I mean, that does mean really starting from absolute zero.
Right.
And because the commercial world is vastly different from resale, it's very, very tough nut to crack, especially if you're brand new and look extremely young.
Yeah.
You know, getting that confidence from a prospective client who owns, I don't know, a piece of, I don't know, industrial, whatever, warehouse.
Right.
Are they going to, you know, go with you or someone, you know, a CBRE or whoever that's more, you know, who's done the business? So I'm glad we got that call from the other brokerage. So
right. It was again meant to be. It sounds like that was your path, right? So
yeah,
that's exciting. Good. So in terms of driving into Toronto now, as a kid, I used to go that way to see my grandparents. Just the buildings that are there, like coming up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe how much it's changed. That is a lifestyle, right? That's you know, you're in that community. You've got hopefully everything you need. How do you guys help sell that lifestyle in Toronto for new construction condos?
Good question. So, well, Toronto it's the economic hub of Ontario, like, perhaps Canada. It's probably the most liveliest, most happening place for culture, art, entertainment. Me and my brother are both massive fans of Toronto. Seriously, we want Toronto to be known as the best city in the world, and I think globally right now it's being seen as one of the best. It's a shame that a lot of locals don't see it that way, but it's genuinely seen that way. We have a number of clients that are overseas and do compare Toronto to the likes of New York and London.
Right.
It's not at that level. It's not, I know, but it is a really, really good city, and especially in the tech sector talent pool. I don't know if it's something that you follow, but there's been a huge shift in interest from global mega companies that want to set up shop in Toronto. We're talking about, you know, Ubers and eBay, and you know, Google have Sidewalk Labs coming. That's a whole other story. But you know, they've got their headquarters that they're moving to lakefront. Sorry, Microsoft are moving their headquarters back from Mississauga to downtown Toronto, and we're seeing this massive demand in office space, job demand. Now, when you have those two key things in place, it's the perfect storm. It makes for an extremely appealing investment vehicle. So it's not so much the lifestyle directly for investors, but it's what that lifestyle, art, culture, talent pool, jobs, etc., can bring from an investment standpoint. And right now, there's no question about it. The demand is high, and I think it, you know, based on all these factors, I think it will remain high for the foreseeable future. So it's not so much the lifestyle itself. Although I live in Toronto, but I have to live in Toronto. I've got, because of all the work here.
Right.
But it's everything that's attached to an investor's, you know, eventual tenant, perhaps, that makes it enticing.
That will enjoy those things, the art.
Exactly. That want to be here. They want to be here for these reasons, so that's why it makes it enticing.
For sure.
Vehicle, yeah.
And this is out of curiosity for myself. What are your thoughts on it feeling like moving down the corridor? Obviously, we're seeing it in Etobicoke, Mississauga. What do you see for? Because I know Burlington in particular, they're really going to start developing at the waterfront. Do you think that it's just going to carry down the corridor, Golden Horseshoe?
I think it will. It's all dependent on local municipalities, right? Each local municipality has its own rules, regulations, city plans as well. right, the city plan is essentially what the, you know, the 20-year vision of what the city is going to be, and then they have certain lands designated for growth, right? And it's all stems from the Places to Grow Act, which was in the mid 2000s. And so growth is inevitable.
Yeah.
We have, you know, this amazing immigration program. It's something that we follow closely as well. There's a number of, you know, express entries given every so often. Highly talented individuals, and they need a place to live. And
absolutely.
And if you look at it from, you know, a macro level, once again, you have Toronto, which is the economic hub, but it's priced accordingly.
Right.
And then, you know, as you go outwards, it gets, you know, comparatively speaking, it is priced less and less and less. But there is a ripple effect, right? The more expensive Toronto will get, the demand will start to shift outwards, and then, you know, prices will start to rise. And as that continually happens, you're going to have more and more development happening. Exactly, expansion happening. So I think it's growing pains right now. I know there's a lot of, you know, people out there that feel that it's perhaps growing too fast. Well, the government wants it. It's not something that we can stop. It's not something that we can control as the public, and it's not something that developers have a hand in. Well, they do, to an extent, but it's by design.
Right.
The government want it to happen. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it's inevitable.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And we did see the ripple effect of 2 years ago in the resale market, for sure, with the multiple offers. We know what's going on at an even higher extent in Toronto as it was here. And when it slowed down, it was just like almost like a switch, and we saw it come down. I mean, obviously the outskirts like Brantford, Niagara were a bit slower because they were slower to start, but it was almost instant when that happened. I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm not sure about the market in Toronto, but it's kind of come back from there from what I see out here. Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely connected with what's going on with you guys out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all a ripple effect. It's all connected.
Absolutely. So what would be your recommendation for a young professional who's looking to get into pre-construction, particularly condos, but just in general? What would be your advice for them?
Well, pre-construction specifically, we see a lot of new faces all the time. So it's not that it cannot be done. Yes, you have to work your ass off. I'm sorry, it's and this is not to sort of show off or anything like that, but when we were getting into the space, we literally were the first ones in the office and the last ones to leave. There were a lot of times where the receptionist would leave after us, and we would be the ones to turn off all the lights. And you have to work harder than everybody else. So that's number one.
Right.
You have to work up. And number two is I guess you have to enjoy it.
That's
because
important.
there was a lot of times, but just because we enjoyed it so much, it made it easier to bear. I think the other thing is you have to know your stuff, right? It's a part of the first part, you know, working hard. Work hard doesn't mean, you know, just staying in the office the whole day and not doing anything. It literally means understanding what it is you're selling and what you're doing. Like, understand everything. Know your developer. Know the suite types, the square footages, what the price per square foot is. How does that compare to the resale side? What makes this a compelling investment for a client? Would you invest in it yourself? Does it make sense to you? Does it not make sense to you? Why doesn't it make sense?
Right.
Because you will come up.
Client.
Exactly, because you will come across a lot of times where a client will say, well, what do you think about this? You need to get the pros and cons about it. Know everything. I mean, that's And the other side is the business fundamentals, right? Know your market, because there's two markets here. There's the developers and then there's the clients.
Right.
How are you going to reach them? What kind of content are you pushing out? What's your overall business objective for the year? What's your overall business objective for 5 years? That kind of thing. It's a lot of stuff, but you've got to have these in place.
Right. And you had mentioned that you've got to love it. Aside from that, what is your driving force? Is it family, your kind of big why, so to speak, that also helps with that, getting up in the morning and working hard and being the last one in the office? For you, what
I think personally, yeah, it was funny. I'm going to get all like touchy emotional, but in my office, I actually, because my son was born in 2008.
Okay.
And I had a picture of him by the side of my desk, like a really big picture.
Yeah.
So that's all the time. Like, and I invest myself now. I'm thankfully, knock on wood, I'm able to invest it into the business as well as personal portfolio.
Right.
It's all for him. It's all for my family.
Nice.
And that's a big driving force. And the other thing is challenge, the challenge of it, right? I've got to, it's fun.
Yeah.
You have to challenge yourself. See what you're capable of.
Keep things exciting, right? You don't want the mundane, boring day-to-day stuff. Like, that's why you left your 9 to 5, right? It wasn't filling enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you, because you had said you were there late. I was wondering when it was that you had started your family. So you had a baby while you were basically trying to break in, or just before you were breaking into the condo, the pre-construction.
Yeah.
That must have come with its challenges.
Oh yeah. It was a challenging time. It was, and it humbles you as well, because to know that the things that you've gone through, and I'm so thankful for what happened in 2009. I'm actually thankful for it all, to be honest, because had that not happened, I have no idea if I'd be here today, right, with what I'm doing.
Well, we're grateful you are, because you've shared a lot of great stuff. So we appreciate.
No problem.
Thank you for being successful to share with us.
No.
That's awesome. So was there anything, any last tips or pieces of advice you want to share before we wrap up today?
I'm not too sure. Have I missed anything? I don't know. You tell me.
You've shared a lot of great stuff, and I really appreciate it. I know that anybody who watches this is going to take away some great things. It may not be directly related to pre-construction either. It could just be your path and how you got to where you are. I think definitely you and your brother have a very inspiring story. So again, thank you so much for that.
No problem.
And it's my turn now to ask the mega question of the day. If I were to hit a restart button on your business, you don't have any money or anything like that, but you have the knowledge you have today, what would your first 90 days look like?
Oh, Lindsay. Okay, so I think one of the biggest things that I think anybody should be doing is get going on the website straight away. I think 100% focused website about, for us in particular, about pre-construction, and I just push content. I do video. I try to reach out to developers for interviews. I'd also build various advertising around paid campaigns on social. This way I have my business platform, the website built out. I'd have my target product and audience set out, and I'd know where I'm getting clients from, organic reach, through the website and content, and then database marketing. I'd create, everybody I know, shove it all into a database, and start doing paid advertising to hit them, and as well as, database marketing. I think those are the kinds of things I'd probably start off doing. Right,
and that's eventually what you had to work on that to get to that point, right?
Exactly.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Great story. I've definitely got some great takeaways from today. And again, we appreciate everything that you've done and that you've been able to get to the point where you can share your success about your success. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.